This evening we are presenting a program which is about film and video. On this occasion we want to show the way in which we work using film and video in conjunction with community action. The program is in two parts. In a few moments there'll be a film made in black and white and lasting about 40 minutes. After that we'll be talking to some of the people who were involved with us in the action of the film. We didn't make this film for showing on television or for this open door program. It was made to be used by people who are interested in getting things going in the area where they live. It was made, like all the films we produce, to be seen by people in groups so that they could talk about it afterwards. The good thing about it is that it's so very easy to use. And if you've ever used an 8mm camera or any kind of still camera, you'll understand the principles. Now, it has a zoom lens on it, but I'd suggest in the way in which you use it today that you don't use the zoom lens. You don't get into any fancy in and outs, although it will do that. And that before you do an interview with somebody on tape, that you just check with one of the people who'll be with you whether it's correctly set for you to be able to do that. And all you need to do is just record. Hold the camera steady and just get a nice, evenly balanced picture of the person that you're talking to. One of the things that you have to get over is this quite natural shyness that you'll feel if you're going to go up to a stranger and start to talk to them, because you'll obviously feel it's some kind of invasion of privacy, which it is. But to what purpose? Well, as you know what the purpose is, it should give you the courage of your conviction and allow you to go in and start talking to them.
It is June 1973. We in Liberation Films are a team of 7 people. Our experience has been that a community film show can bring people together, attracting those who wouldn't usually attend a meeting on community affairs, and stimulate them to decide what should happen in their area. As a development of these ideas, we wanted to see to what extent local people could use portable video to make their own video show, and later present it in their own community.
I sit at home and moan about the lack of facilities. Getting up and actually doing something about it is another thing altogether.
What stops people doing that?
Well, I think it's just general lackadaisical. They think, well, let someone else get on and do it.
There's something in the whole society then? What would you ascribe that to? What do you think it's due to?
Oh, that I don't know. It's beyond me. But personally, I feel that if certain people could get going and do something, I think it would be appreciated by the general public at large.
So, how is what we're going to be doing in the area going to change them?
Well, I think it's going to make a percentage of people sit up and do something. It has me. It's started me on to thinking, well, I must do something about it. It's no good me sitting at home and complaining, expecting other people to do it for me.
Balham is 5 miles from central London, part of the London borough of Wandsworth. Elsewhere, it has been called the gateway to the south.
Well, you've got League of Nations here now, haven't you? You didn't have them years ago. I mean, you only had...
We had
it
all
was
the
nice.
boys come out the army.
You had nice...
No, like now, they're all ripped anything. We had even a few cowboys and we got the bloody lot.
No, it's not so nice. That Balham has gone down. And I mean, I served so many people from up Bedford Hill. There used to be servants in those houses up there, big houses, and they used to come down here to serve the old ladies. And of course, if now they've gone, there's, the houses are let out.
I've spoke to my next door neighbour about 3 times, 4 times. That's just saying hello, and I've been there 3 years. Not, they don't mean nothing down here, they just try to see your business and what you've got and what you haven't got. You don't want to be friends. I mean, your next door neighbour, that's it. The woman could have 2 heads and you wouldn't know.
Our first problem was to arouse interest and recruit volunteers to use the portable video. With the help of the Balham Action Group, we presented an evening of films on community themes. The location for this community film show was the Rydevale estate. For the 50 or so people who came, it was a friendly and informal occasion. The final item of the programme was a roughly edited collection of views and opinions of the area, filmed by us at a fete and jumble sale held the previous weekend. This trigger film, which you are about to see, was intended to provoke discussion at the end of the film show.
Welcome to the celebrations. I don't know if you know, but these are in aid of the Adventure Playground. We're hoping to buy a van with all the money we get, so, you know, spend it.
You're disappointed?
A little bit, yeah. I think it's the advertising, really. Never mind.
Had you spoken to a lot of people about it?
Quite a few.
Did they promise to come?
Yeah, well, they said they'd try.
And are they here?
That was it. Some of them are.
Yes.
Yeah. But we couldn't get an advert in the paper. We left it too late.
What do you hope this will achieve this afternoon?
Well, it's sort of community, and it's, you know, it's sort of nice, isn't it? The music and all the stalls and all the children, you know. And it's nice.
You think it's important people should get together?
I do, really, yeah.
Why do you feel like that yourself?
Because I think people are getting worse now. They just go in and seem to shut their doors and they don't communicate anymore, you know.
And that's bad?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you think of anything in your own experience which shows that? People that you know or...
Well, yes, because on the estate where we live, you see women down the shops, you know, and you don't even realise they live on your estate. You start talking, they say, oh, I live on the Rydevale, and you say, well, I've never seen you. It's ridiculous, you know.
Quite pleasant living here, really. Hey, you're not filming me, are you?
Yes, we are.
Do you do anything with the nursery? Or? No, nothing whatsoever, no.
Do you know many of the people in the area?
Not really. What? No, just my immediate neighbours here.
Do you find it a friendly area?
Yes, very friendly, actually, yes. Quite nice. I like it here. Lovely fresh air, very healthy area, I think, here.
You know, this afternoon they're running a fete down at the Adventure Playground.
I understand they are, yes.
You haven't been down there?
No, none of my children visit the Adventure Playground. So I have no small boys. I think it's more for boys, isn't it? For climbing and jumping on the trees.
I think it's a great job. I think they're doing a marvellous job here for the kids, you know.
You'd like to help yourself then?
Oh, I would, yeah, if I had the time, of course, you know.
What keeps you from working?
Well, yes, night work, you know, I work nights, but if I had the free time, yeah, I like to do something towards them, yeah. I think we're doing a marvellous job here, you know.
And you? You'd like to help?
Yeah, but I've got 4 kids. I have enough.
Fine, that's a problem.
Too much for me.
Why are you prepared to do something yourself? Why are you prepared to be active like this?
I think to make it better for the children, really, my children.
Have you always been like this? Prepared to get involved?
Not really, no. Because I think when you're, you know, before you're married, you've got your own life and your own friends, so you don't worry. But then when you get married, you realise, I think, that there's not going to be much left for your children, you know. And then just start doing something about it.
What do you hope to do next from this, after the jumble sale?
I don't know. Sit on Bedford Hill and get a zebra crossing, I expect.
Yes? Is it a problem?
Yeah, it is.
What happens?
Well, I had a letter, we did go into it 18 months ago, and they sent a letter from the House of Commons to say that the volume of traffic wasn't sufficient for a zebra crossing, that they were going to take another count, you know, but we haven't heard any more.
Do you use the market very often? Just on the Saturday to get, you know, the general weekly stuff.
Yeah. And what's the area like for you?
To live in? It's very nice to look at after dark. It's a bit noisy just around here for living. I mean, if you wanted a quiet life, you'd have to live a little bit up the hill in Bedford Hill towards the Common.
Do you live in Balham?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? What's it like living here?
Well, it has its advantages and disadvantages. You know,
Tell me an advantage first.
Well, it's convenient to all transport, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's supposed to be the gateway to everywhere. You know, one can get, you know, into town in a few minutes.
And what's the market like, this one?
Oh, I didn't know much about this market. I just like the look of the potatoes here, and that's all.
I know a lot of girls don't enjoy having to walk up Bedford Hill at night.
Have a reputation.
With good cause, yes. If you fancied spending a few quid, then just drive slowly up Bedford Hill, and you know it's not too difficult.
Do you like this area? Is it a place where you choose to live?
Well, it's a necessity. Not where I particularly like to live. I like to do the harm, as best as the point.
I see.
We live here. Quite happy with the area. The only thing I crib about is the transport system.
Yes.
Obviously, the cleaning up of the area is greatly needed, especially the refuse. Much to be desired in that respect. But other than that, it's a perfectly normal, shall we say, village type. You can call Balham a village. I'm quite happy with it otherwise.
After the film, discussion didn't take long to start.
It's the Temperance Hall on Marius Road. It's an old sort of snooker place that's been empty for about, well, at least 3 years, to my certain knowledge. And it's really in a bad state now. I mean, all the windows are broken, the ceiling's leaking. You know, it's just really mucky, and nobody seems to be doing anything with it. And as everybody here knows, there's a hell of a need for, you know, places for youth clubs, discos. But I mean, it just seems criminal that a place like that, when there is nowhere else at all in Balham, is standing empty for whatever reason. And I mean, maybe we might have to go to lengths of taking it over, you know, just physically breaking into the building like we did on the playground to make people look at it and think about the issue.
Film, she said that she didn't join in the activities because she had 4 children and she was going backwards and forwards to school. Well, I've got 4 children and I'm backwards and forwards to the school, but I still find time. I happen to know that lady, and my children are a lot younger than hers, you know, so I think you have to make time. Anyone can say they haven't got time, you have to make time.
Why do you think people throw so much rubbish around in Balham?
It's the dustman.
Yeah. Well, it's easier. It's easier. Isn't it? If there's not a bin there, then it's easier. You just chuck it away.
You know, I've seen that.
I saw one today, and there was hardly any rubbish picked up by the vacuum cleaner, because it walked towards me as I was coming along, and as I walked past it, the road was covered in rubbish. And they never sweep Burn Road because of the cars. I was thinking today, I wonder if it wouldn't be possible at least once a week to have a notice that says, do not park in this road from so-and-so to so-and-so because it's to be swept.
There are men that follow the prostitutes down. They've put them there. And they're watching, you know, aren't they, Shirley? The men that follow that girl down.
Oh,
to make
yeah,
sure,
they're 2 minders. Yeah, they wait on the corner.
Well, I mean, it stops the likes of them men from benefiting from that girl. I mean, if it was legalised, then she could still do it.
Yeah, you must have them, because if you didn't, there'd be more rapes than that going on. But you've got to have something done about it. I'm terrified to go out here after 8 o'clock at night.
How can we sort of create enough interest in either of these topics to sort of get some interest sort of going amongst a few more people than we've got here tonight?
Stopping people on Bedford Hill, the local people, and asking their opinion.
A video recording was also made of this discussion and played back immediately afterwards. People were invited the following day to learn to use the equipment themselves.
I think they feel they're committing themselves. If they say that they'll join in, I think they're frightened that they've committed themselves. People are going to be nosy. Yeah, but you haven't, because there's been lots of times...
Enough people came on the Saturday for us to form them into two groups. They chose as topics rubbish in the area and the need for a community centre. The issue of the pedestrian crossing was not taken up at this time, although it had been of concern for several years.
Yeah, it really just turns me over, you know. If you could see me in the morning...
Are you fed up with this?
Okay.
It's really difficult. The kind of distance that you want to get is somewhere about here. And keep the microphone out of the person's eye line that you're talking to so that you can engage them with the microphone just below them here.
When I change the focus, it doesn't actually affect the clarity of the picture.
Yeah, not a great deal, because you see you're on a very wide stop, and you see that should do fine.
Yeah.
For there and for me. Yes, if you come to me, I should be in focus too. Certainly good enough.
I think the best thing is to sort of put them in some sort of order. Now we've decided what sort of questions we want to ask. Because you know, you've got to make some sort of sense to them. It's no good asking them at random, is it?
So we're going to leave them in sort of rather global questions just about rubbish in general, rather than litter. I mean, are we going to make that kind of distinction?
So, for the first interviews to Balham High Street, busy with Saturday shoppers. The community video show was set for the following Friday, at which each team would present an edited version of the material they had shot.
Are you still...
You take this place, I go back about 20 years, or even a little bit less than that. And this was quite a clean, tidy neighbourhood, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But over the past 15 to 20 years, I think the place has deteriorated, and it's getting worse and worse.
Oh, yeah. We had
People don't seem to appreciate decent comments
No, they
these
don't.
days.
We had
They
the
just use it
old
for
water
dumping.
hydrants. They used to wash the streets down, you know, in the summer.
Yeah, and you don't think
Every
they do
other
that
day.
now? They're not around,
They
no.
don't even sweep them.
So many thrown away cars. They've been, I know two that have been there 6 months. They should have been taken away a long time ago.
Who should take them away, do you know?
Well, there is the council jobbing away, but they should sort of catch the fellow or try and trace the numbers on them and make them pay.
Why do you think they should be taken away?
Because they're a danger to the kiddies.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
there's petrol in the tank, and if the kiddies put a match into it, it's going to go up.
We get the garbage collectors one day, and like the day before they come, we get the road sweeper. So we never have a clean road because they seem to do it the wrong way around, you know, and where the dustbins spill all the rubbish, so it stays, and then one day a week we have a clean road, and of course for 6 days it's all. But I feel that it is difficult to get people to unite in this problem, because each man or woman for that matter feels that so long as his or her front path and garden is okay, you know, everything's all right with the world.
On Tuesday, it was the turn of those interviewing on the need for a community centre.
Do you live in Balham?
Yeah. One thing about it, it's deteriorated. Very, very much. It's dirty.
What do you think's wrong with it?
Well, since we got all the coloured and the Asians and the blacks and everybody else over, that's all I got.
Get some questions about Balham.
About Balham?
Yeah. Do you live in Balham?
Yes.
What do you think of the place?
Oh, well, it's getting a bit dirty and neglected now. It did used to be very nice once upon a time.
I think it's gone downhill then?
Yes, very much so.
What sort of way?
Well, the shopping centre's not so good as it used to be. It's terrible here now. Once upon a time, we had nice big stores here where you could go and have a meal if you wanted to. And the entire place is different.
On this day, an unscheduled event diverted the attention of the video team. A child was knocked down and injured on Bedford Hill.
That's
that's it. You know, I intend doing something this time anyway. I mean, I've got 3 petitions down here in the last 6 years and nothing's happened, you know. It's just more kids getting run over.
A little girl, about 8, you know, it was right outside my house, you know, but I only sort of heard it. You know, I went out there.
So you intend to go and sit down on the road?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You could just never get across the road, ever. The times I've nearly been knocked down. And it really frightens me because I have been knocked down once. Not here, but you never forget it, don't matter how old you are. I can't see any reason why they shouldn't have some sort of thing for the children.
More and more people joined in the sit-down, and it was agreed to repeat the demonstration every Tuesday until they had a crossing. For the present, they decided to end the demonstration with a march down to the traffic lights at the junction of Bedford Hill and Balham High Street. For some years, the issue had been tackled sporadically without result. Someone who had not attended the film show emerged at this time. Madge, a housewife and mother who lives on Bedford Hill, was among those most concerned. It was she who sought the cooperation of the police for the diversion of the traffic.
You don't get anything by being polite in this world, believe me. You get it by being nasty and by agitating and by causing the powers that be an awful lot of aggravation. I mean, I'm sure the police didn't enjoy having to force all that traffic to turn round.
Actually, by the look of the police, I think they really did enjoy it.
I'm not talking about the ones that with us, because they were in full sympathy with us. They had children. And one of them even said, if it wasn't for this uniform, I'd be in there with you. He had kids, you know. But I'm talking about the powers high up. I'm sure they didn't enjoy the chaos.
The following day, the videotapes of all 3 subjects were previewed by everyone involved who could come. This included Madge and members of the Balham Action Group, like Roger.
But no comment.
Do you have any feelings about it?
Of course we have. We're human, aren't we?
You're sorry?
We're human, aren't we?
We've got to have that. Because that's typical no comment. What number did we go to?
169. I love them, he says. There's another shot of stationary traffic. We want that.
Yeah. Do you want this thing or not?
165, what is it about?
The videotapes were later edited by us in accordance with their instructions.
This is a nice interview. Now cut it here. Cut it here. Oh, what about this?
No, at least I've told her the film is on and whatever, and I said we could, we appreciate if one of you or both would come.
It's just these testers, make what it
In a way, standard, a thing like this should be the only thing to bring.
Yeah, but the thing is, they won't even stop the car to the children. Because remember when they got to run across the road? You know, they're coming tearing up and down.
We haven't come in yet. Do you want to come in there? Can we just go to the end? I think that is the end now. Let's go.
We'll keep that going then, right through that little bit if you like.
I think we'll come off the policeman and we'll cut there.
Yeah, we came off the policeman at 192. We had 2
Yeah.
Friday, the evening of the community video show. The Balham Library was chosen as a convenient location, and it was easily arranged by a member of one of the video teams who was a librarian there.
I think he's going to charge out the room.
Although videotapes on all 3 subjects were shown that evening, the programme lasting just over an hour, you will only see extracts from 2 now.
Discussion after the films if everyone wants one. If not, we'll probably all go out and we'll try to lay on some coffee for you. We didn't anticipate so many, but we'll try.
Do you go to any discos or anything else like that? Are there any other clubs that you go to around here?
No.
Is there anything that you'd like to have on that there isn't?
No.
No? Nothing, no sort of things that you know of in other areas that your mates go to that you think they could be in Balham?
No, ain't nothing.
No, but I mean, there are other clubs in Streatham and Brixton places that people go to, aren't there?
Yeah.
Sort of discos and stuff. Would you like to see something like that opened up in Balham?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
What about you?
It's alright, it's right.
Well, you're quite happy with the place. Think there's enough for you to do? You don't get bored in the evenings or anything?
Yeah, it's nothing to do here.
There is nothing to do. Well, I mean, have you any ideas about the kind of things you like to do? You say there's nothing.
No.
Which school do you go to? Balham?
Balham.
Yeah. Same?
Yeah.
You? How much longer have you got to stop on at school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any ideas what you're going to do when you leave?
Bookie.
Huh?
Bookie. Book now.
What about you? Same. OK, thanks very much.
No, there aren't any. No, there aren't any.
You think there ought to be one opened up? I mean, I think
oh
needs
yes,
it.
sure. Particularly from the 11-year-olds' point of view. I mean, there just isn't nothing at all.
Yeah. Have you any ideas where there could be one in this immediate area?
No. Unless they build us a nice new one.
The Temperance Hall on Marius Road, you know, the old billiard hall? The place with the
Marius
green
Road.
dome and stained glass windows.
Oh yes, yes.
Have you ever thought of that? I mean, we were thinking that might be the only hall that I know of that's empty. Right?
Yes, I suppose it would. I suppose it would be rather a nice place for one, and quite near. Yes. Caught me fine, didn't you?
What do you think
well,
about that?
which sort of people are you referring to?
All
Because
the
there's
people,
many
everybody who lives in Balham, old people, young people, black, white, everybody.
Well,
You
to
know,
start with,
parents
right?
with small kids, people with older kids, old age pensioners who've lived here for 70 years, just the whole lot, yeah?
But to start with, it's just started to sort of redevelop itself. But I think that there's not sufficient being done about it, especially in the social life.
Yeah.
It's a terrible atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
Don't get picked up on in the street because, you know, he's got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Right? They should introduce other things. For instance, like international personnel who help the youths if he hasn't got a job.
Jobs, right.
Right? Space where one could go in the afternoon, after work or after school, right, to socialise.
Yeah.
Right?
So
in a
what
community.
Kind of thing, a club, you mean? A community centre?
A community centre where everybody gets together and you're free to do what you want to do. You know, not what society limits you to do.
For people to run it themselves in the way that they want.
Yeah. Right now we need some space, right, just for the enjoyment of music.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not provided.
Yeah.
You see, and how do you go about providing it? This, that, and the other. As soon as one club opens, it closes down.
Yeah.
I'm sure if there was a space, say, okay, this space is for this particular effort, right, music, and once a week or twice a week, we all get together and we can enjoy ourselves socially.
Please help. Anything. Yeah. But listen, please don't throw us out till we've had a chance to do it. We won't throw us out.
We'll let you have a sit in the road first. Cool. Then we'll divert the traffic.
Down a cul-de-sac. You do that. Common. Right. You sit across this end. Sit across there. You block them in Riverton, you block them in Dalton, and you block them on Bedford Hill. They can't divert them because they can't go through people's gardens. Okay? Yeah. Right, lovely. To be one of the local policemen that I didn't know, strangely enough. Actually, that's a bit tasty. Oh, I know. Where's your photographer? Look at that eye, he looks lovely.
Yeah,
you look beautiful, my darling. Beautiful. Should we? Well, Maureen's going to try and round some more up.
Do you like sitting in the middle of the road?
Yes!
Why do you like sitting in the middle of the road? Wouldn't
So
you
the
rather
cars can't go past. Right. Yeah,
Why do you want to stop the cars going past?
Because there would be too many people getting run over.
Try not to speak at once.
Too many people getting run over. So we shall not be moved. We shall not.
So what is the reason? Why can't we have one? I mean, I've got 3 little girls. I mean, all right, they cross by the lollipop lady, but when they want sweets, she's not there.
The traffic's obviously got worse over the years. See, this has happened before. There's been petitions and they haven't got anywhere. But the traffic's getting worse all the time, isn't it?
I mean, my poor old dad, admittedly, he only comes to visit me, but he sort of hobbles over the road, and I say, quick, Dad.
Quick, you know.
And you've just got to grab him and help him over, because they just won't stop.
They won't slow up either.
Oh, they just won't slow up at all. No, it's every man for himself these days, isn't it? And this is how they feel about it. You're either quick or dead.
How these things
You know,
change.
they're going to change by people getting their fingers out and getting together like we got together again. We're ratepayers. Don't we have a say? Do you know what one council fella said to me today? We can't afford a zebra crossing. I said to him, we don't want a gold one, we just want black and white with 2 Belisha beacons.
But I'm concerned about my 2 boys, one of whom was here with me tonight. They go up that way to school and come back that way. At the moment, my husband goes with them, sees them across in the morning. If they came round the other way with the lollipop lady, they'd be too early for her or too late coming home at night.
And why did you come tonight?
I was at the demonstration.
Good for you!
I was wandering down the road and I saw the traffic diverted. And I saw the traffic diverted, so I wondered what had happened. And I went to find out. I found Malcolm with his projector, you see. I know him from the library here, and so I joined in.
You mean the video camera?
A video camera, yeah. And joined in, followed the thing right the way through, met Maggie, and I got invited here. And I also went to the Balham Plan meeting the other night. When that was happening. Funny, lived in Balham for 9 years and didn't know what was going on.
Well, I've lived here since 1941 and I've never met half the people in this room.
It's all starting to happen.
So when you first came, and Jeff and Marie came to start with for the first action group meeting, I was, faintly sort of sceptical that it would do anything, because I thought it was too much of a rush and that people wouldn't come to the idea quick enough, which meant there'd just be a few of us sort of doing the thing and pushing it on people and pushing it on the community, and the end result would just die flat, as soon as you've gone. And even when we started that first Saturday, I still thought it was going to be like that. But coupled with the trouble on Bedford Hill anyway, and also the fact that more people have got to know each other and become involved in doing this filming, I think it's been very successful from there.
So generally, in a few words, what is the contribution of the video, do you think, in this context?
I think it's something, it provided a focal point to start with, because people were themselves going out into their own neighbourhood and sort of talking to people who they hadn't met before, often, or didn't know, about things which were the concern of both of them, which gave an immediate personal note to the whole sort of question of interviewing and filming and so on, which isn't there when somebody from the BBC comes and asks you a question.
This video show, presented and made by local people, was the final scheduled event of our 14-day project. We continued filming at the demonstration the following Tuesday because of our interest and involvement with the people.
Coming all along here. Not me. Paul, behave yourself, mister. Where are we going to have this live? Roger, where are you taking them? Yeah, great. Yeah.
How about having it on the road so they can see it as they come and turn around?
Block that road!
Come on, Mark. Stand there and don't you run away. There, Mark. No, you can't get through there. No matter how much you try.
Don't move! Stand up there!
Down here.
Get out of my baby! He's just run into a baby's pushchair! You murdering swine!
There's no other way I can get down. I've tried.
Well, then go back and stay away! Round in, lady, front!
child.
I'll take her out.
Have a little
Take her
concern.
down for a
Have a little
walk.
concern for the
I
child
wasn't
herself.
here. I wasn't
Well, you know,
here.
have a
love.
little concern. The child is frightened. Look.
I'm taking her back to her mother. That's what I'm doing. It's all right. Right.
If there's half a chance, I'll play.
Fine.
If there's half a chance.
This
but
is Councillor
I must
Hill.
have. I've got to have. I've got to talk
from the
fact.
numbers.
I've got to
yeah.
talk from fact first of
Yeah.
all, and the facts have got to be the count, the traffic count, and the pedestrian count.
Yeah.
That is going on at the moment.
Yeah. But I think also the fact that we live right bang slap on a common with two council estates has got to be in our favour, you know.
Yeah.
With 4 day nurseries.
Yeah, but we'll plead. I mean, it will go to my committee, and we'll do everything we can.
After the road had been blocked for an agreed half hour, the people marched up Bedford Hill, in contrast to the previous week, away from Balham High Street to Tootingbeck Common.
Could we start it a little later so that we could get more effect, more traffic, and also then we could probably get more husbands along? Because women look pathetic. Men are the figures you want to get.
Right, here's one woman who thinks that women look pathetic, and she thinks we should start later. What's the feeling? Do people feel we should start later?
If it doesn't fall within this criteria, we've got to represent it as a special case, and that's what I've got to do. I've got to find something to represent it as a special case.
It is a special case, though.
All they have to do is give us a crossing and they won't have any inconvenience whatsoever, because every one of us here has children, and it might be mine, yours, anybody's. There's been a child knocked down here last week. Who cares? They don't care. Well, we do, and we'll have to stop it from one end of the road to the other. All right, anyone else like to talk?
You want another word, Roger?
Yeah, we want to get the feeling of what people want to do. You know, if you feel today we were wrong to march this way, then let's hear. Make the suggestion. Right, so next week we'll march the other way to the high road, right?
Take our petition.
And down the river.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Well, I'm sorry, you've got to worry about
people are with it,
They're
that's-
residents of Balham.
Well, what
It's the
about
people what matter
Hang
nowadays,
on, can we have
not
one
the
at a time and
government.
make a suggestion?
I'm not talking about
chap
government,
here.
darling.
Look, your GLC aren't bothered about you people. They
The
get your
GLC
rates.
are the people that will give us the
The
profit, my
GLC
love.
are the people who
The
get your
council.
rates and they've done nothing.
There was a disagreement at the end of the meeting about what should happen. Can you explain it?
Yeah, well, there's basically two camps of people. The ones who want to cooperate with the police and everything, and those who think unless they do something off their own back, you know, without caring about the police, nothing's going to get done. And that's the sort of feeling. And, you know...
Who made the agreement with the police, though?
Well, that was Madge and the group with her. I mean, the inspector came to see her this morning in her house, and she agreed to march this way rather than to the high road, which was again against the feeling of a good half of the march. And having made that agreement with him, it's a bit difficult for her to go back on it, which I appreciate, and therefore we came here. But I think it's, you know, I think it's wrong for her to have made the agreement anyway, without sort of finding the feeling of the people on the march and making the decision this afternoon when the people were there.
We've
just had a word with the police. Can I clear something up? They say that the agreement was this afternoon that we wouldn't march back, and therefore we have now got the choice. If we march back, we're going to have to march with the traffic because it started again and they won't stop it. Okay?
If they march with
Can the kids shut up?
I'm out.
Can I answer
I
the
won't have it,
parents?
not with the kids. If they march back...
I can't hear you. Can you come in and say?
That's stupid.
We will stop the
Bloody
traffic.
stupid.
Right. In that case, it's very orderly.
No, I gave my word that this would not happen. I gave my word.
No, we don't want to march back.
No, I'm out.
Despite the evident desire by many people to march back down Bedford Hill, the overriding feeling was that disunity must be avoided. Eventually, they dispersed.
What's next for you now?
And we've got to ask Madge. But by the sound of it, she's giving up the ghost, because she didn't like that business about asking us to march down amongst all the traffic.
So I hope to goodness she doesn't give up the ghost, because I think if she does, nobody else will bother, will they? Well, she's the guiding light behind the whole thing at the moment.
She actually brought people here, she said, in order to speak to counsellors. Do you think that that's the right way to go about getting something done, to get people just to talk to the counsellors?
I don't think people are used to talking to counsellors in that sort of way anyway. What they expect is that you convey your views to a counsellor by having a public meeting or a demonstration or writing a letter or something like that. But to actually sort of walk up to a counsellor and say, you know, we want this, this and this is pretty difficult unless there's a very good sort of situation, like if you were sitting in a room behind a table and sort of people trooped in and queued and that sort of thing, then people would do it, but not in an informal sort of setup like this. Therefore, I think really it was a mistake to expect them to do that as well.
Towards the end of the meeting, Roger was cautioned by the senior police officer present for a possible charge of conspiracy to cause an offence, namely obstructing the highway.
The point is that when you block the highway, you commit a criminal offence.
Yes, it's perfectly in order to
inform
if you go on blocking
this
night,
afternoon,
if you go on
committed a criminal offence. The point is that 200 people take them to court. That's fine. This is what democracy is about, isn't it?
200 people.
But why pick on him?
Why pick on me?
Why
Say
pick
I
on him?
organised it.
What has he done that the others didn't? That's what I'm asking you.
I've also spoken to a number of other people who have taken an active part in what's going on this afternoon.
And conspiracy implies that they were all together doing it. Is that right?
No. That they agreed together to do it.
They agreed together to do it.
And you do have to
feel sure. Yes,
you have to agree together.
Yes, you do have to agree together. And you feel sure in your own mind that they did previously agree together to do it?
I didn't say previously.
Or they agreed together to do it now?
I didn't say previously. They are doing it together now.
I think the dispute is over whether you play it their way and go along with them a certain amount, or whether you say, unless we really push them, they're going to do nothing.
Are you still hopeful?
Go all the way. I think that, you know, unless there's a wider agreement, which is beaten out by a meeting and a bit more formal organisation, I think the thing will die, if not next week, you know, the week after. Because I think people will basically disagree, and then next week there'll be the two factions, one who will not march if the police won't support them, and one group who will, and that's going to be fatal.
At this point we stopped filming, but obviously the story continues. There is now a firm promise from the authorities for a pedestrian crossing.
The film you have just seen was shown in the Rydevale Nursery, Balham, last December to an audience of over 70 people. Some of these people are with us here in the studio tonight, together with two people from Poplar, where Liberation Films carried out a similar project last June. Sarah, tell us, if you were asked by another community, as I hope you will be, how they should use video and how it would help them, how would you inspire them?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'd like to show them the film that we've made. But I think what was important when we started was that there were 3 issues that people felt very strongly about. And we managed to use the video working with you to point these issues, get more people involved, and it just happened to coincide very fortunately with the direct action that the mothers took by sitting down on Bedford Hill.
But you think that in some way that the video would have got something going in the area, even apart from the crossing?
I think so, because it made people think very specifically about things they wanted to change or improve in their area, which they probably wouldn't have done unless they'd been given this particular opportunity.
Do you think that could have happened without there being a group already?
I think it would have been harder, yeah. But I think, you know, the video itself brought people together and formed the group, in a way.
How do you think it brings people together? I mean, I think it does, but it's...
I think a lot of people, when we were filming, sort of expressed amazement that we were actually making a film in Balham. Was Balham worth it? And when we talked to them and they got interested in what we were doing, they were not only interested in the film, they were interested in why we were making the film, which was about community involvement.
You mean people don't take themselves sufficiently seriously, and they wonder why people should care that much?
Well, I wouldn't like to be the one to say there's a lot of apathy, but the whole video show certainly brought a lot of people together. And some people, I've worked in Balham for 3 years now, and it's some people I've never met before. So it's been useful for me.
Yeah. I mean, in Poplar, it's different, really, isn't it?
Entirely different. Entirely different. The video was used in the build-up to the festival, if you remember, and this got a lot of people interested in the festival. But with the advantage of video is that when you interview people, you talk in the same language as them, and they can answer you in the language that they understand and you understand. Wherefore, if you had the BBC, for example, doing it, there'd be a BBC type filming them and asking them questions, and they would probably be a little bit afraid to come forward and express their opinions. So therefore, I think video is a great advantage to community work. You know, I hope that when our film is completed, you know, that we can show it to various groups and probably get them going in various things locally.
What ideas do you have for using video again in Poplar?
Well, there's various ways you can use video. I mean, we haven't gone into it in any great length, but the possibilities for using it for community work are great. You know, I mean, we could make films. We could get ordinary people to come forward and make these films to show other communities, to get them to work.
Do you think it actually changes people personally? I mean, that feeling of having done this.
I thought it was strange, you know.
Yes.
I mean, being a factory worker myself and going to do an interview was very interesting. I thought one of the most interesting things about filming was the after effects of showing the film to the public in that church, you know, in the church where we showed it.
Yes.
And to see the different approaches to the people watching themselves on the cameras and their difference of opinion was so varied that it was surprising to me anyway, you know. And I think more of this should be done. I think we should use a bigger screen, you know, and people will
You need it in a church with 400 people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think it changed you personally? I mean, having held a camera and talked to people.
In a way it did. I mean, at the time, because it makes you a lot more aware of other people's reaction to you, you know. Like, the fact that you had a camera made people react differently towards you than they would do otherwise. They either totally withdraw visibly or, you know, suddenly blossom out like flowers or something, you know. So you become more aware of other people feeling what you're feeling, as it were, you know, because you're nervous approaching them. And then you realise that they're just as nervous being approached.
Yes.
So in that way it does, yeah.
Yes.
People did say that they felt it was much easier, even without the camera afterwards, to walk up to strangers. Did you feel this?
Yes. Well, the whole situation
yes,
it's totally different from what it is in here, anyway. And I think, to me, that's one of the crucial parts of it, that I think that people watching us should and must realise that when they have the control of what's happening, then it's a different feeling and it's a different product.
Entirely.
And the thing keeps on moving as the weeks and the months go by. It keeps producing echoes and reactions, and that's what's exciting about it.